Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about patch 1.2.2 for Rivals of Aether 2, as well as talking about the Rivals of Aether 2 circuit, which is starting pretty soon here in May. Before anyone asks me in the comments, I didn't forget about Kragg. I'm just taking my time with that video. I want to make it extra special. I love the skin pack that they have in this one. Make sure that you use code ProofBlock if you do buy it. Big fan of the Clairen one, especially. I really like that they gave her an umbrella. There's a couple of general changes here. They updated the UI as well. I really like this rock, paper, scissors thing. And for the general changes, I don't think any of them are super impactful. I'd say probably the most important ones would be these two right here, especially if you're playing a matchup where like it matters if you're hitting articles a lot. And then overall for this patch, there's some things that I like. There's some things that I definitely don't like. And let's just get right into it. Starting off with Zetterburn, they made it so that his forward special travels 5 units faster, probably like meters per second, maybe centimeters per second. They made it so that forward air sweet spot shrunk slightly and move forward to retain the previous forward range. So it's the same pretty much to hit the forward hit of it, but reverse sweet spot forward air is not going to be as strong, which is a good change. And then finally, and I really like this change actually, is they made it so that up air sour spot knockback angle has been changed from 65 to 60, so it makes it easier to escape weak up air, which is really good. They need to do this. Weak up air is such a strong tool. It's still going to be a very strong tool. You're still going to be able to get combos off of it, and when you're DIing out of it, you're just getting put like in a position where you're probably going to be off stage, but at least you're not getting comboed. Now you're not going to get confirmed in like a down air or a back air, another up air, something like that. So I think this upper change is actually pretty good. I don't think this forward air change like really matters. Like, yeah, you're not going to be able to get those reverse hits as easily, but the forward hit is pretty much the exact same. You're still going to have the same potency with that move, just I guess a little less jank with it, which isn't bad. But then I really don't get why they made his side special better. It just did not need to be better. It's already very strong. Projectile applies fire. You're able to combo into it as well if you're drifting in with it into a grab, especially with forward throw, which is super strong. It did not need this change. And yeah, you can parry the projectile. There's counterplay against it. Like, let's not get crazy here. I'm not saying it's like unbelievably broken, but it's just an unnecessary change. Zetterburn was already very strong. He's a little weaker now because of these changes that you made to his forward air and his up air. But to be honest, that forward air change really doesn't matter that much. The up air one absolutely does, but he doesn't need compensation. Like, he's fine. Next up is going to be Ranno. They made it so that there's one less frame between the hits of forward tilt, so now you're not going to be able to specifically floor hug the first hit and then shield the second away, which I guess is fine. That's just something that they don't want you to be able to do against forward tilt, though it's like very clear, very strong counterplay against forward tilt that they have just taken out now. You're not going to be able to get that shield up or that second hit. They made it so that Ranno will now lose all neutral special charges when he gets parried. This is a great change. I really like this. It doesn't hurt him that much. Like, realistically, he's going to be able to get those charges back pretty quickly because he is so fast. He's able to make that distance between him and the opponent literally immediately, and he can just, like, do the baby charges as well. So it's not going to be that big of a deal, but it is a good change. I do agree with it. They made it so that neutral special poison dart angle will now change with charge 10 to 7 degrees. This means that the fourth dart will now go a similar angle to the previous third dart, reducing the horizontal range of aerial neutral special. And to be honest, this change isn't as impactful as it like maybe seems. Like, you cover a little bit less space with that final dart, but it's honestly not that big of a deal, at least from what I have seen. Neutral special can now be canceled with the parry button if you air parry settings is set to neutral air. That's just a quality of life change. Up special dive kick for ground friction has been decreased from 1.2 to 1. This increases the distance he slides by 9 centimeters, making it more lenient to ledge cancel. Oh, I guess I read that wrong. But basically, it's easier to ledge cancel now. That should be your takeaway there. Dacus speed multiplier. They made his Dacus a little bit worse by approximately 50 centimeters, so definitely will feel that. And then up air 2 no longer has a sour spot, which is nice. You're always going to get the sweet spot of it. I actually didn't really know it even had a sour spot, if I'm being real here. Maybe I just was never hitting it with Ranno. But overall, with these changes to Ranno, it seems like he's getting a lot of like nerfs, but this does like nothing. He's going to be effectively in the exact same spot that he was in before. Darts are pretty much exactly as good as they were before. Like, it was very rare that you were getting a confirm or getting a combo because that fourth dart went all the distance and sniped the opponent. Like, yeah, it might have happened occasionally, and maybe getting edge guards with the dart aren't going to be as absurd now, like clipping someone's jump. But outside of that, those are really the only things that change. His Dacus is a little worse, whatever. That is such a nothing change. They made his forward tilt better. They like getting rid of neutral special when you get hit as well, or when you get parried, is also just not that big of a deal. They changed Ranno. They nerfed him a little bit. I'm really not a fan of this patch though with Ranno. I think they could have done a lot better here. Next up is going to be Kragg. They made it so that forward special can now only be canceled after 5 frames. So that's definitely going to hurt him. You are just going to be locked into that forward special for those first 5 frames, but it is only 5 frames, so it's not like you're stuck in there forever. They made it so that forward tilt has 2 more frames of recovery. Not going to be that big of a deal. Normally, when you're whiffing a forward tilt, I think you were getting punished anyway, but like in those situations, like they clearly state here, you do a dash attack into a forward tilt, covers a ton of space in front of you, and you're moving forward when you do it as well, so you are able to like get a follow-up conversion, potentially keep that momentum with you. It is going to be a little bit harder to do so now, 2 frames harder specifically. And then finally, rock can now only be hit once, and this is just, I think, probably a quality of life change. So like if 2 people hit at the same time, the fragments would actually like not freak out and just not know where to go. So Kragg pretty much going to be in the same spot. Yeah, this forward special change like hurts him definitely, but I don't think it's going to be like the end all be all where he feels a lot worse at the disadvantage because of it. But I might be misinterpreting it though. It may be way more impactful than I realized. Next up is going to be Fleet. They made it so that jab 1 and jab 2 knockback angle has been changed slightly, and this is just because she doesn't move forward with her jab, and this makes it so that they just more consistently get hit by the final hits of jab. And they made it so that ledge special intangibility normalizes between backup and forward windows. The intangibility now ends on the first active frame for all 3 windows. I think this is just like a bug fix change. It wasn't working before. Now it should be working as intended. So pretty much nothing really happened for Fleet here. They just changed her jab to work better, and they made a bug fix. Next up is going to be Maypul, and she got a lot of big changes, and half of them I really, really like. And they're going to be regarding her up special. They made it so that up special max horizontal airspeed has been decreased by 4 units, so she's not going to be able to drift as much after up special. I think that's a really good change. She had so much drift afterwards, really easy for her to ledge slip it, or if she's like recovering from off stage, to do that upbeat from pretty far away. If you're trying to contest the ledge with a hitbox, then drift in afterwards, you're still going to be able to do that, but now you're not going to be able to go as far. So super big fan of that change. They made it so the up special ledge grab box now gets much shorter after entering the special fall window. They made it so the up special 2 hitboxes shrunk slightly, and it's like mainly I think in front of Maypul, at least from what I've seen in a game, and I really, really like this change. Again, that hitbox was so massive. You get scooped up by it as well, and it was just like in front of Maypul, covering so much space. It hits incredibly hard as well. People were using it to like cover the ledge. Like they would go when someone was off stage and just really quickly drop below the ledge, up B, reverse it, and it's like impossible. You're just dealing with the wall. Now you're not, well, you're still going to be able to do that, but it is going to be a little bit more difficult. They made it so that Maypul can only wall cling once per airtime. I don't know why it wasn't like that always. But now she can only one cling once per time. Awesome. It is restored though if you hit an opponent off stage. I do think I should have said that. Neutral air landing leg. They shave a frame off of neutral air, which I do not understand at all. Like it's supposed to be a good approach tool. Landing leg made it a little bit difficult. It was still a very good approach tool. I do not think they need to do this, but they did regardless. They made it so that back air hit 1 damage has 1 less hit, or 1 less damage, I should say. They changed the knockback angle as well, and they changed the hit stun multiplier, and this lets her use the first hit of back air in more situations since it was more limited beforehand. So you're going to be able to do like back air 1 now, which again, did she need access to back air 1 combos? Probably not. She probably didn't need access to back air 1 combos. But to be fair, the new knockback angle gives opponents more agency in avoiding follow-up. So at least that they're giving her this, they've given her more creativity, or the opponents rather, more creativity to fall out of it. Up air recovery, they add 2 extra frames. I love that. This is a really, really strong tool for Maypul. She uses it in her advantage state. She uses it in her neutral just to get better jumps as well. So by making it a little more committal, a really, really big fan of that one. And then Tether will now prioritize teammates over enemies, not hit stun. So overall for Maypul, I think these changes are good. I don't think she needed this neutral air change at all. The back air changes, I honestly don't know how to feel about completely, but I really like this upper change, and I really, really like these upbeat changes. I think they were much needed. Next up is going to be Clairen, and I really, really do not like this change. I think this is probably my least favorite change that we've had since Rivals of Aether 2 came out. Maybe those early Fleet and Arcane changes as well, but they made it so that she has 0.25 less aerial acceleration, which I am just not a fan of at all. So between getting from your normal airspeed to your max airspeed, I believe is what aerial acceleration is, and you are going to be able to do that slower now, which just sucks for Clairen. She's not going to be able to have as good spacing as she was before, which is the whole point of the character. They made it so that up special air acceleration is set to 1.0, and this is just to make it more like it was, or exactly like it was rather, in the previous patch. They made it so that up special 2 sour spot knockback has been changed, so it's stronger. So if you hit the sour spot now, opponents are going to get hit further away, which is nice. I guess they made it so that neutral air has 3 more frames of recovery and is also active for 1 less frame. So that is a huge nerf to Neutral Air. And then finally, Ledge Special Hitbox 2 has been made more forward so it connects into itself better. I just really do not like the direction they've taken here with Clairen. They nerf Nair massively, and they make her aerial acceleration worse. They just make her feel worse in the air. Like, it just really does not make sense to me. When we have a character like Maypul, for example, where we're giving Maypul good nerfs for the most part, I like these nerfs, but we're also giving her a really important buff with this Neutral Air. Like, this is a really, really big buff. Same thing for Zetterburn. This change, really, really nice buff. You're absolutely going to feel that. Clairen just gets absolutely screwed over, and they make, like, up special a little bit safer. Like, you just feel so much worse as a Clairen player here, and this is what's happened to this character in the last, like, 2 or 3 patches. I really, really do not like how they handled this. I would have rather they, like, adjust some of the hitboxes on the tipper so they're more precise than making the character harder to control. Like, I really am just not a fan of that. So, yeah, her aerial acceleration was the highest in the game. Maybe it should have been tuned down, but I think if you're going to do such a massive nerf like that, then alongside it, there should be at least some buffs and not a really big change to her Nair as well. Really quickly, I just want to say Clairen is still a very good character. That doesn't make her bad, but it just sucks as a Clairen player to read these patches and then just have nothing in return. But she is still absolutely viable. Loxodont, they made it so that neutral special fully charged knockback multiplier has been changed from 1.3 to 1.15. And this is only for the fully charged. So for those situations where you get like a fully charged into like a strong attack, like an up strong or a forward strong, they put at the end here, you're not really going to be able to do that anymore, which I think is a fine change to make. So the up special falling multiplier has been changed from 1.0 to 8 or 0.8, I should say. So it really is only going to affect you when you are off stage. If you get clipped by up and you're falling down, now you're going to be able to act out of it faster. And then finally, they made it so that forward air sweet spot damage has been reduced by 1, and forward air has 1 more frame of landing leg. And I am okay with forward air having an extra flame landing leg because that move is so massively disjointed. I think nerfing Loxodont isn't like super necessary because he's not in like an absolutely needs to be nerfed spot. But I think if you're going to nerf Loxodont, I would really like them to address his up throw. I do think that's the main issue with this character. It's super, super over-centralizing. It's just really, really strong for him. And if you address it, it does make him absolutely worse. But I would rather him be worse in the one aspect that's just really, really good than him be, like, slowly getting worse in, like, every other aspect. So I don't think the changes are necessarily bad. I think they're fine. But again, it's the direction. I do think they don't really address the main issue here with Loxodont. Next up is going to be Forsburn. They made it so that forward special now has 4 frames of recovery instead of 7. So it went from 3 to 7 to 4. They realized they did a little bit of an overcorrection and then just tuned it back. They made it so that forward tilt has 1 more frame of recovery. Up tilt has 2 more frames of recovery. And they also changed the knockback of up tilt so it's a little bit stronger towards those middle slash higher percent, so you're not going to be able to get those strong attack loops as much, but you are going to be able to combo into like up air maybe in more treacherous areas, back air as well. I do think this should make up tilt worse overall because it's just not going to be as easy to combo into stuff, and it might get to the point where like it's too high to combo into back air. It starts hitting a little bit hard, so this is overall I think a nerf for up tilt as well as a nerf for back air. They made it so that there's 1 more frame of landing leg and 1 less frame of shield hit stun, and I'm very, very okay with this. I think back air is a super strong tool for this character. It's a great combo tool. It's a great kill tool. It literally just does everything for you. It's super threatening, covers a ton of space. So just by making it a little bit more committal, a little bit easier to punish, absolutely fine with that. And then finally, they made it so that up throw has 2 less frames of recovery, and they slightly changed the knockback angle as well. So it's going to be more rewarding at lower percents, make it more of a combo tool, which I absolutely like. I think like considering some of the crazy combo throws the characters have in this game, we can give Forsburn a combo throw into like his forward air. I think that's fine at the lower percents. Next up is Etalus. They made it so forward special icicle hitbox has been expanded backwards, so it's going to be harder to slip between the cracks of that move, which is great. They made it so that up special speed threshold for cancels has been changed from 22.66 to 32.58, which means that he will be able to act sooner after an up special. But with that change, they make it so that he has post-charge startup of 2 frames to 6 frames because with the faster action ability, he was just able to get attacks out a bit too fast. And this just changed it, so basically up special operates like it did in Rivals of Aether 1. If you played Rivals 1, you know what that means. If you didn't, like me, you don't know what that means. You're just going to have to go into the lab and get used to the timings as Etalus. But I do think that overall the move is slightly better, though it is a little bit worse in this aspect where the spike hitbox appears 4 frames later. But it's faster, which is awesome for Etalus. They made it so that his up special can now be what is this? By holding up special on the IASA frame of any state because whatever this is just like a quality of life change. It shouldn't matter that much. Up special ledge grab box now reaches 10 centimeters higher because of the variable distance of his recovery. It can be tricky to sweet spot the ledge, especially since he pokes his head relatively high up during his head special, and they're just making the ledge grab better, which is awesome for Etalus, only by 10 centimeters, but you'll absolutely take it. Down special shockwave will freeze players if any part of their ECB is over instead of just the center. Forward air down does 2 more damage, which is great. It's a hard hitting move. It should hit pretty hard. They make it so that forward air armor comes out 3 frames earlier, which I love. This was something that I really, really wanted them to implement, and yeah, that's just awesome. Making forward air more of a defensive tool is super, super great, as well as a bit of a harder hitting tool is now really, really big fan of that change. Back air innermost hitbox size reduced. I don't know how big of a deal this is going to be. I feel like people were usually hitting with the edge of back air as well. Like they would just elect to go for an air if you were close to them anyway. So I don't think this one should be as big of a deal, but obviously having a hitbox reduced is going to suck a little bit. They add 2 more frames of landing leg to down air, and opponents can now immediately wall tech after being grabbed by Etalus up air. They should have always been able to do that. And then finally, down throw will no longer remove his ice armor, which isn't that big of a deal. Like you get to keep the armor, which is nice, but it doesn't really matter. So overall for Etalus, they made forward air better. Really like these forward air changes. They changed around up special. I'm pretty sure up special is slightly better after these changes, but more so it is just different. It interacts a little bit differently. You're going to have to get used to that as an Etalus player, just a slightly different timing, a little bit better off stage. No idea what this means, but overall I do like these changes for Etalus, and I do think he's a little bit better because of them. Really quick, I just wanted to say for the Etalus players, I'm pretty sure the changes to his up B make it so that spamming up B into itself over and over again is worse, but then aside from that, it's better. But please, Etalus players, let me know. And then finally, we've got Olympia, and she's got a whole bunch of changes. They made it so that neutral air hit 2 damage has been reduced by 1%, as well as that having an extra frame of landing leg, so it's not going to be as strong on shield. That's great. 2 more frames of recovery to forward air, absolutely needed. 1 more frame of landing leg, 1 more frame, or forward air early hit does 1 less damage as well. Absolutely needed to happen for forward air. This move is just so insanely strong. It's still pretty much exactly as strong as it was before, but it just has a little bit more recovery. It's a little bit riskier to throw out, so that's great. Up air, big changes to up air. They needed to happen though. There's 3 more frames of recovery. There's 2 less hits of or percents of damage on the early and the mid hit, and up air now has 1 more frame of landing leg. It's still an insanely good tool. I mess around with it a little bit. You're still going to be able to get very, very good combos, but it's just not going to be as strong, as well as it's not going to be as good on shield, which was absolutely needed for this character. This is just such a strong tool for Olympia. It's still an insanely good combo tool, but the pressure for it is going to be a little bit weaker. Now, neutral special will now have a 30 frame cooldown when the gem healed is deployed. This is definitely a big change as well. Definitely a big nerf, because you used to just be able to smack someone with the gem and instantly pop that. They had to react to it, because if they don't, they're going to be put in the gem, especially off stage as well. So now you're going to have to at least have the gem set up a little bit more if you do want to go for that minefield. So that's definitely a big change. They made it so that forward special slam recovery has had an extra 4 frames, and the knockback has also been changed. So this makes it sending further opponents, or God, I'm scrambling my words here. It makes opponents set further away at higher percent, which is going to be potentially better for the opponents when they're on stage, but off stage it is going to make this movie a little bit more potent to get some of those super early edge guards. They made it so that up special can no longer fast fall until the special fall window. Up special can no longer give a small horizontal boost when holding backwards at the beginning of the recovery window. Down special cancel speed will now decay with each use. This is a really, really big change. Like, it's going to get a lot easier to edge guard Olympia. And it was already pretty easy to edge guard this character, but what was already a flaw of her is now a bigger flaw of her, which I absolutely like. I do think that is a good direction to take her. And they made it so that Get It Special has 4 more frames of recovery, which, yeah, whatever, that's not that big of a deal. But down special change, super, super big fan of this one. Really big fan of this forward air change. Really big fan of these up air changes. Olympia is still a very strong character. This neutral special change as well, I think he's amazing. I still think Olympia is very, very good, but she's now a little bit more just balanced. Some of the pressure that she had before isn't going to be as absurd. You're going to be stronger against her off stage as well, which she was already at her weakest. So I like these Olympia changes a lot. I think this is absolutely the right direction to take with her. She's still very strong, but not like unbelievably just the GOAT at this point. And we have the end of patch tier list. We've got characters in the neutral tier that I just don't really care about their changes, feeling pretty indifferent towards them, or Orcane didn't get changes. Bad tier, Again, I like the upper change for Zetterburn. I think that's a really good change. I don't understand why he gets a buff alongside it, though. I just do not think that Zetterburn needs to be buffed in any aspect. This character is already super, super strong. You can just nerf him. It's okay. He doesn't need the compensation. For Ranno, I just think the nerf changes that they gave him are like nothing burgers. I really think this patch was like supposed to be a big thing for Ranno, make him worse, but it just isn't. He's like the exact same as he was before. All of the issues that he has are still as prevalent as they were. It's just like darts are like slightly worse, but darts were really never the issue. Wrastor, I haven't been bad because I just wanted something to be changed with Wrastor. I think he's in a really awkward spot right now. I think a lot of Wrastor players have been vocalizing that as well. And the fact that they just did nothing, I think it was a little disappointing. I did want to see a change for Wrastor, good or bad, just anything for the character. And then I already expressed how I felt about Clairen. I really do not like the changes that they gave her, especially like if you're gonna give her changes that are as bad as those ones are, at least give her something in return if you're gonna do it for a character like Zetter or a character like Maypul. For Maypul, again, I don't think that they should have buffed Nair at all. I think that move's already really strong, and it's not going to be like the Messiah now. Like Etalus is still probably going to be your main tool for Maypul, but it is going to be very, very strong. But I really like those changes they made to up special. I cannot ignore those. This was a move that I absolutely have been clamoring for a nerf for, and that's like the nerf that I kind of wanted was a hitbox reduction. So really big fan of that. Etalus as well. I like the changes that they did to his forward air and his changes to up special. Again, I don't fully know how that is going to work, but I do think it should make him slightly better overall, which I think is good. For Forsburn as well, I like the changes they made, just making it so that his up throw is more of like an actual throw that you are incentivized to use, than making his back air a little bit weaker. Some changes to, I think it was up tilt as well, making that not as lenient as a combo tool with the strong attacks. And then finally, for Olympia, she needed nerfs, in my opinion, and I really, really like the direction they took with all of the nerfs for her. Big fan of not being able to pop the crystal right away. Big fan of making up air worse on shield. Big fan of adding a little bit of recovery to forward air. And then finally, that change they made to down special as well, where if you do manage to intercept it, it gets a little bit worse. So her recovery gets worse as you rinse and repeat her off stage. I just think that's a really, really good way to address the character. So overall, not a huge fan of this patch. I think relatively, it's probably the worst patch that we've had in Rivals. I do not think that they had a great direction for Ranno or Clairen in mind here. And then Zetterburn, I just do not think this character compensation at all, and they are always giving him compensation in these buffs. Like he does not need that. And then Wrastor, I really wanted to see a change, but overall not a terrible patch. Some things I definitely liked about it, some things I really liked about it. And now let's talk about the circuit. And finally, we've got the Rivals 2 Championship Series summer schedule. It's been officially announced. It was officially announced a little bit back, but I wanted for a nice little fancy graphic for me to look at before I talk about it. You got our first online event, which is going to be on Hungry Boxer's channel. Winner of that gets a trip to Evo, which is awesome. Definitely tune in to that. And then our first offline event is going to be Combo Breaker. Then you've got CEO. Then you've got Gommel. Then you've got the Online 2 event, which leads us into Evo. Awesome that Rivals of Aether 2 is at Evo. So sick to see that. You're also going to have Supernova literally the week after. So this is going to be unfortunate scheduling, I will say, for the Rivals 2 top players. It's going to be a very intense EVO weekend into a very intense Supernova weekend. Hopefully a lot of people are going to be able to do the back-to-back. But as a viewer, I mean, this is going to be an awesome time to be a Rivals fan. You've got a ton of stuff in August, because not only you got the biggest 2 events that we're probably going to have, but right after that, or a week after that, you're going to have Collision as well in August, followed up by Riptide just 2 weeks later. So we've got a ton of super stacked events for Rivals of Aether 2, especially once we get into August. Things really turn up, and I'm just really excited to see what these tournaments kind of unfold. We've got a ton of top talent coming into the game right now. Obviously, Cake Assault seems to be the one leading the charge, but Marlon's been looking really good recently. Plup wins Genesis. There's a huge variable there. There's just so many people in Rivals of Aether 2 right now that are making waves. The competitive scene has been so much fun to watch, and I'm just honestly really happy that we get an official circuit just to slap a bow on top of everything. And with that, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the sport. It's been absolutely unreal. As I said, anything I left out, got wrong, or if you want to say hi, leave a comment down below. Be sure to sub while you're down there. Let me know what y'all thought about the patch. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.